very much for coming here to northern Wisconsin and listening. I was noting yesterday, and my name is Paul Demain. I'm a resident of the Cooterray Ojibwe Reservation at Hayward, Wisconsin, on the local mining impact committee, involved in a lot of things in the local community. Yesterday we were talking with some members of the Cooterray Tribal Council, and we asked a simple question, where is our state senator on this issue? And most of them says, we're counting on Bob Jouk, Senator Bob Jouk, to do this right, because he's always been here to listen to us. And I had to correct him and say, excuse me, but Senator Jerry Petrowski, a Republican senator out of Wausau, is our representative. And the members of the governing board said, well, that's interesting. He hasn't talked to us. He hasn't been here. We haven't seen him. And that's only halfway between Wausau and northern Wisconsin. So there seems to be an absence of people wanting to come here. And I'm glad that you came here, because listening to people like the other person that stood around here and said it, it's interesting to see people that I know and have seen in and out of Mellon and Hurley. Some people says, you know, we should be boycotting those businesses up in Mellon and Hurley because they're supporting the mine. And I says, no. I like to go up there and have a beer and a burger every now and then. I mean to continue to do that, because those are people from northern Wisconsin that are part of our extended family. And in a way, we've talked about how people have come and gone over ages, but the Ojibwe people are still here. And they're simply tired of having to have their resources compromised when they want to feed themselves and want to take care of their family. We also understand what's gone on in that district, where there's been a boom and bust from the mining industry over the years. We ask the question, is it worthwhile to invite your children back for 10 or 15 or 20 years again because they've left the community to get a job, only to have to move their family out again after 20 or 30 years when that ore deposit is gone? And the Ojibwe people say, no. Maybe someday the ability to give that ore deposit up will be worthwhile. The United States at war and needed for some reason. If it puts our rice in jeopardy, it puts our walleye in jeopardy. Walleye and other fish that in some cases you can't eat because they're already tainted with mercury and other pollutants that haven't been cleaned up. We haven't cleaned up Lake Michigan yet from the sewage that flows into it. Rather than creating another burden that we might have to clean up, we're hoping that people are thinking about looking in another direction. The process has been tainted. And originally, when I first heard the proposal of mine, I thought I'd hear it out. Looking at the geology, the watersheds and things, I became skeptical of it. But at this particular point, I don't think there needs to be any changes in any of the laws that have gone into this. And part of it is because there has been no dignity in the process, despite the fact that our new representative leader, Mary Williams, was responsible for holding hearings. They didn't call them for here where the impacts are going to be. The process has been tainted because of the money that's been given to politicians, and now politicians feel inclined that they have to deliver something. So rather than having an industry come and go and our children come and go, we need to really sit down and think about building some future in which as much time and as much money, if these companies given $15.6 million to the politicians, and who knows what else the rest of the budget is, and how many hearings were held in Milwaukee and Madison and time, if as much time was invested in trying to create those long-term jobs as was invested in trying to create this short-term burst, people running around with big overinflated checks, $73,000, that's great, but most people I know really don't want that. What they want to be able to do is provide for their families. And so somewhere I heard an idea. For some reason I keep thinking it might have been Marvin Defoe back there with the working on wherever he is. Said something about a heritage park. We thought, we're looking for the courageous legislators that would stand up and say, why don't we acquire that ore body in that area, perhaps turn it into a heritage park in which we can create 500 years of jobs that are there for a long, long time. And we can go up there and enjoy that and learn about each other. We can go into those old shafts that, you know, big chunks of metal were taken out because what I hear is this open pit, mountaintop, whatever it is a very, very different process compared to the old mining techniques. That's the difference. And when we jeopardize the wild onions, when we jeopardize the squirrels, the rabbits, the elk, the walleye, the potential loss to 40,000 pounds of wild rice in the river system and the lakes of this area, that's too big of a potential price to pay for the Ojibwe community that relies on those resources. And not just the Ojibwe community, a lot of non-natives who also subsist on those resources. So let's put our head together and not hate each other for the positions we take, but let's work together, because I'd like to see Mellon and Hurley and Iron County prosper and get better and have jobs, and families can be raised and stay there. But I think the idea of this mine here, there's too many considerations about what other corporations are going to want those exemptions. How many other mining companies are going to come into northern Wisconsin? What about the vanadium deposit in Sawyer County and over here in other places that are delicate? I think people have said it. It seems like a Trojan horse of some kind that's going to open up things that 50 years from now people are going to say, I'm not sure I would have wanted to have been part of the process now that I've seen what's happened. So let's be careful. The Iroquois people and other native people used to sometimes say the best decision to make is no decision at all. Let's set it aside for a while and rest on it. Miigwech.